I was only helping him move. I didn't know I was gay. It all started with boxes, so I expected sore arms, not a full-blown identity crisis. Spencer was already drenched in sweat when I got to his new place, his shirt clinging to him in a way that shouldn't be distracting. But it was, even when I wished so hard it didn't. He tossed me a water bottle, his smirk downright cocky. "Finally, huh?" he said, his voice smooth and deep as usual. "Did you need a full body pump before showing up? Or just wanted me to suffer alone?" I snorted. "At least I showed up." "You're mean," he answered with a laugh. "Shut up and tell me where to start," he chuckled. "Do I shut up or tell you where to start?" I rolled my eyes, picking up the first box I could see. It was supposed to be a normal day, just me and Spencer like always, moving heavy furniture, cracking dumb jokes, nothing complicated, nothing weird. But then he lifted his shirt to wipe his face, and my brain stalled. Just for a second, just long enough for that creepy heat to go around my neck before I snapped my eyes away, staring at some other thing like it was the most interesting thing ever. Something in me told me that Spencer called me because he had that smirk on again. Over a year working out together, I still couldn't stop those weird gazes or thoughts, which I've always told myself that it was admiration, with a white envy since I wasn't as faithful to working out as him. Hours pass in a blur, hauling furniture, dodging each other's swinging limbs, and pretending to be not hyper-aware of the way his muscles flex with every lift. By the time we got the last box inside his new apartment, my arms felt like lead and my shirt was stuck to my back. "All right, break time," Spencer announced, flopping onto the couch like he owns it. He pats the empty space next to him. "Come on, big guy. I promise I don't bite." I rolled my eyes as I sank down with him on the couch, and the cushion sagged under our weight, tilting us just towards each other. Spencer shifted, stretching his arm over the back of the furniture. His fingers slid on my shoulder, and I couldn't keep wondering if it was intentional or not. "Man, you've been quiet today," he muses. "Something on your mind? Or you're too busy checking me out like you do at the gym?" I laugh nervously. "That couldn't be what I was doing, could it? And you're more annoying than usual," I said back, pretending to be chill. He grinned like he had just won something. "I'm just saying, Joe, you stare a lot." "And you joke a lot," I retorted. "Not now." The air felt different. All of a sudden his knees bumped into mine and our arms brushed. Spencer exhaled, gaze flickering between my mouth and my eyes. But then, instead of smirking, instead of teasing, he shifted slightly, brows drawing together like he was hesitating. You ever feel like you know something about yourself, but you don't want to say it out loud? His voice was quieter now, my chest tightening. "Like what?" Spencer let out a slow breath. "Like, maybe you don't fit in the box people put you in, or the one you put yourself in." The air felt too thick. That's what you feel." Spencer's lips twitched. "Maybe." He tilted his head. "What about you?" I should have said no. Should have laughed it off, shoved his shoulder, changed the subject. But I didn't. And then Spencer leaned in. Just for me. Just enough for me to stop thinking at all. I didn't know if I leaned in first or if he did. But suddenly, his lips were against mine. The kiss was slow. Testing. I shouldn't let him. And now, the kiss was deeper. And hotter. His hands moved, fingers ghosting over my jaw before sliding into my hair. My own fingers twitched, like they wanted to grab onto him. And so I did. My hands found his thigh, and I thought the fabric was going to burn underneath my touch. He made a noise close to a groan, and that's what snapped me out of it. I shouldn't." Spencer didn't laugh this time. He didn't tease. Just watching me, his chest moving fast from the kiss. "Why not?" "I can't answer. I have even more doubts than him." His eyes flickered to my lips, then back to my eyes. "Joe?" He whispered my name, but it felt like a punch. The way those 3 letters came out from his mouth, that I had just tasted, made it impossible to lie to myself. I'm not," I gag. I don't." "You do," he says easily, like it's obvious. like it's been standing there for everyone to see. I didn't say anything. I just got out of his place, ignoring how loud my heart hammered against my ribs. It was nothing. A joke. A mistake. The entire drive home, my fingers didn't stop brushing against my lips, like they were still remembering the press of his mouth, the heat of it. My grip tightened on the wheel. I needed to stop thinking about it. Spencer's a big joker. He takes everything lightly. That's what he does. He likes to push my buttons, to make me flustered, then step back like it never happened. He was probably there laughing. God, he'd probably bring it up tomorrow just to watch me squirm. The worst part is that I didn't pull away immediately. I let it happen. More than that, I kissed him back. And I liked it. The thought slams into me so hard I almost missed my turn. This isn't happening. It was just a slip-up. Heat of the moment. Exhaustion. Maybe I was just too damn tired to think straight. Except I wasn't. I shook my head, pulling into my driveway. No, I wouldn't do this. Tomorrow, everything will be normal again. The following day, normal lasted about 3 seconds after I woke up. I skipped the gym. Just couldn't. Instead, I went on a nap and set a date. I swirled the straw in my drink, watching the ice spin before clinking it against the glass. Across from me, Brooke. Brooke twirled her hair and smiled. "You're cute," she said, tapping my hand with a playful nudge. "I feel like you're nervous." I forced a chuckle. "Nah, just a long week. You know?" She raised a perfectly arched eyebrow. "Really? Because it kind of felt like you were somewhere else." I stiffened. "What do you mean?" Brooke leaned forward, her voice light but edged with something knowing. "I mean, I've been flirting with you all night, and you keep looking at the door, like you've been waiting for someone." My stomach twisted. "That's not..." "Look," she sighed, setting her drink down. "You seem nice, but if I'm being honest, I get the vibe that you're not really into this." My pulse spiked. I... Brooke smiled, but it wasn't in a flirty way anymore. It was understanding. "It's okay. Joe, whatever's on your mind, I hope you figure it out." She patted my bare hand before standing, leaving me alone with the realization that I hadn't just been bad at this. I didn't want this. It was still 10:20 p.m., so that meant I could slash off some anger. I grabbed my keys and drove off. Not to Spencer's place, definitely not, but the gym. I figured it'd be empty. Just me, the hum of the AC, and some overdue stress relief. But as soon as I stepped inside, the rhythmic thump-thump of something hitting the heavy bag told me otherwise. I froze. Spencer? The gym was technically closed. I know he worked there, so it made sense, sort of. But that should be his day off. I lingered by the entrance, considering leaving, but Spencer's voice cut through the silence. "If you're going to just stand there looking awkward, at least hold the damn bag." I swallowed and stepped forward before I could second-guess it. I braced the bag while Spencer threw another punch. The thud reverberated up my arms. "Rough night?" I asked. Spencer smirked. "Could say the same to you." Another punch. Another silence. Then, without looking at me, he muttered, "Do you ever feel like if you stop moving, you'll have to think about the shit you don't want to?" My fingers tightened around the bag. I didn't answer right away. Didn't have to, because Spencer just nodded, like he already knew. "Want a spar?" he asked, rolling his shoulder. I huffed. "Now," Spencer grinned. "What, scared I'll kick your ass?" I snorted. "You wish." For the next 20 minutes, we didn't talk. Just the sounds of our fists meeting pads, our feet shuffling across the mat. And just for a while, it felt normal again. Almost. 5 days later, the second I stepped into the gym the next day, I felt him. Not saw him, felt him. I knew exactly where he was before I even turned my head. And when I did, it was worse than I expected. Spencer stood on the squat rack, back turned, shirt already damp with sweat. The fabric clung, highlighting every ridge of muscle, the same muscles I felt flexed under my hands. The same body that pressed up against mine that night. I swallowed hard. This was fine. I was just about to go do my workout and pretend nothing happened. No big deal. I was halfway through my reps, trying and failing to keep my mind off Spencer, when I caught a snippet of our conversation from the bench press nearby. Dude, I don't get why Spencer still hangs out with that guy. My grip faltered. Someone else laughed. The tall dude? Feels like he's stringing Spencer along. I kept my face blank, but my hands curled into fists. Yeah, Spencer could do better. Like a dude who actually wants him, you know? The words shouldn't have mattered, but they did. Because if I wasn't stringing Spencer along, then what the hell was I doing? And then, he turned on me. His gaze locked onto mine instantly. Like he'd been waiting. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. Memory. A weight settled between us, making it harder to breathe. That's when he smirked. Not his casual, cocky, lopsided grin. No. This one was slower. Sharper. Like he knew something I didn't. Morning, big guy. His voice was smooth, too casual. My stomach knotted. Hey. He wiped his face with his towel, eyes never leaving mine. It was stupid, but all I could think about was how I had frozen that night when he did the same thing. How my gaze had gotten struck. How he had known. How have you been? It's a normal question. One we asked each other every day. But right now, it felt anything but normal. I grabbed my dumbbell off the rack and forced my face into something neutral. Yeah, fine. Really? He stepped closer. Not close enough to touch, but enough for me to feel him. Interesting. You skipped training for days and not even a text. So I thought. I gripped the weight too hard. Thought wrong, Spencer hummed, like he didn't quite believe me. Then he did something worse. He dropped onto the bench next to me, legs spread, arms draped over his knees. His body radiated the heat, and how I hated how much I noticed. So, we're not talking about it, exhaled sharply. There's nothing to talk about. Aha. There was a silence and I could feel him watching me. But I refused to look, or give in to him, or to give him anything. Then, so quietly, he stood close and whispered. Didn't seem like nothing. I should have shut this down, told him he was wrong, laughed it off, just like I had told myself I would. But I couldn't, because suddenly, all I could think about was his mouth on mine, the way I let him, and how I wanted more. I gripped the dumbbell harder. Spencer? Relax, Joe. His voice was low, almost teasing, but not quite. There was something else beneath it, something unreadable. I'm just messing with you. Right. Just a joke, like always. So why did it feel like a lie? Next Friday, I had to fix this. This was the second attempt at proving I was still into women. Lisa from work had been flirting for weeks, so I finally said yes. A nice restaurant, low lighting, a bottle of wine already on the center of the table. I told myself this was normal, that it meant nothing when my stomach twisted at the thought of Spencer. That the entire week I had spent at the gym, training like usual, forcing myself to act normal around him, hadn't changed a thing. I had turned on the charm, laughed when I was supposed to, and let my eyes linger just enough to make her blush. It was easy, automatic. This was what I knew. And I knew how I'd feel when she reached the table. Her fingers caressed my wrist, the way she was leaning when I was speaking, how her lower lips parted in invitation. I kissed her because I should have wanted to, but the second our mouths met, something twisted inside me. Something inside me twirled. It wasn't him. I pulled back like I was just trying to tease her and reached for my drink, but I was unsettled. But Lisa didn't know. You're cute when you're flushed, she said in her sweet voice. I forced a chuckle, but my jaw arched with all the effort. That's when I saw it. Spencer. My stomach dropped, completely shocked. He was across the bar, one arm slung over the back of his chair, laughing at something the guy beside him had said. Relaxed, at ease. And just like that, Everything in me snapped, taut. Lisa's voice faded. The music, the hum of the conversation, all of it drowned under the sound of my pulse pounding in my ears. Spencer wasn't alone. His date was tall, sharp jaw, leaning in close, saying something low in his ear. And Spencer was letting him. Then his eyes lifted and landed right on me. I couldn't move. I swallowed hard. It was nothing. For a second I thought he'd looked away, pretending he hadn't noticed me at all. But no. His gaze held. Steady. Unshaken. Not just any smirk. A slow knowing curve of his lips. Like he had me all figured out. Like he knew exactly what I was doing here. Like he could see me trying so damn hard to prove something. My grip tightened around my glass. I looked away first, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Lisa's fingers skimmed my wrist, a playful touch, but it felt wrong, off, like my skin wasn't mine anymore. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, tilting her head. I nodded. Lied. "Yeah, just tired this week, huh?" She smiled, warm and oblivious. "We don't have to stay here long." Or, her voice dropped, teasing, "We could go back to my place." I nodded, ignoring the way my stomach twisted, ignoring the fact my skin still felt too tight. My pulse was uneven. This was fine. This was normal. This was what I was supposed to want. Then, as if I couldn't help myself, my gaze flickered back to Spencer, and then he just leaned in closer to his date, whispered something in his ear, something that made the guy laugh, all easy and breathless, and I hated it. I hated how effortless it was. I hated the way Spencer looked completely unbothered. I hated how, suddenly, Lisa's laugh grated against my ear. Her fingers on my wrist felt too light, too soft, too wrong. I took my eyes off him for a brief moment, and then I looked again, and he was staring at me so intently that I could almost think he was really listening to whatever his date was saying. I was staring at him so intently that I could almost think he wasn't really listening to whatever his date was saying. Something flickered in his eyes. Something I didn't know how to call. But it pissed me off. Because I shouldn't care. Because it shouldn't matter. Because I was sitting here with a beautiful girl who wanted me. While he, Spencer's date, leaned in again, murmuring something in his ear. This time, Spencer didn't just smile. He laughed. Low, effortless, the kind of laugh I've heard a million times before, the kind that got under your skin. And suddenly, I hated him. Not for just being here, not for just watching me. I hated him for making this mean something, for making me feel like I had to prove a damn thing at all. Lisa called while brushing my arms. I clenched my jaw. If I said yes, I'd be proving something. If I said no, I'd be proving something else. I looked back at Spencer one last time, but he wasn't staring anymore. He was turned towards his date. Attention fixed, looking like he didn't have a single thought about me in his head. And for some reason that was worse. "Yeah," I said, standing. "Let's go." Lisa grinned, taking my hand, leading me towards the exit. And as we passed Spencer's table, I didn't look at him. Not once, but somehow, I knew he was watching. 3 weeks later, I was avoiding him. At the gym, when I knew he would be there. Left his text on read. But he wasn't the type to let things go. I should have known he tried to catch me eventually. It happened in the gym parking lot, after a late session. My shirt was still damp with sweat, the air thick with summer heat. I just threw my bag into the back seat when I heard his voice from behind me. "Seriously, Joe?" I shut my eyes for a second, bracing myself before turning. He was leaning against my car, arms crossed, his jaw tight, but it was his eyes that got me. It sparkled, but with the kind of sharpness that a person isn't taking no more bullshit. "You're just gonna ignore me now." My stomach twisted. "I don't know what you want me to say." Spencer let out a short, humorless laugh. "How about the truth?" His voice wasn't angry. Not really. He just sounded tired. "You kissed me back, Joe. That wasn't a mistake. I clenched my jaw, staring at the ground. You're right, I sighed. But I don't know what it was either. Silence. When I finally glanced up, something in Spencer's expression flickered. The confidence he always carried. The ease. The cocky smirk was gone. For the first time, hurt. You don't have to know, he said quieter now. But don't pretend it meant nothing. I swallowed hard, pulse hammering. I'm not pretending. His mouth twitched, something bitter at the edges. Look at yourself in the mirror when you say that. My stomach clenched. Spencer exhaled sharply, raking a hand through his hair before stepping closer. Too close. The heat of him, the sheer presence of him, made my chest feel too tight. You think I don't get it? His voice was lower now, steadier. That this is terrifying. That it messes with your head? I'm not asking for anything, Joe. I never was. He hesitated, but then added, almost reluctantly, but I like you. I thought I was going to faint. I like you, and I think you like me too. His voice didn't waver. Even there's something as raw-edged into it. But I can't keep doing this. If you're going to pretend it never happened, something lodged in my throat. Because he was right. And I hated he was right. But I also hated the way he looked at me. Like he already knew I was going to give him what he wanted. He nodded to himself. Like that silence was all the answer he needed. Then he took a step back. You don't have to figure this out for me. But I can't be the thing you'll run from while you do. I opened my mouth, stopped. Spencer exhaled, shaking his head. I'm not mad at you, Joe. His lips curled into something tired and sad. I just don't like it. I just don't think I can watch you pretend I don't matter. So he turned and walked away. I could have stopped him. Should have. But my throat was tight. My hands curled into fists, and all I could do was watch as he disappeared into the night, taking the only solid thing in this whole mess with him. And for the first time this started, I felt like I was losing something real. Something I wasn't sure I'd ever get back. A month later, Darian was the kind of friend who had seen me at the absolute worst. He was there when I got benched sophomore year for blowing out my knee, when my ex dumped me 3 days before graduation, when I spent 2 whole months unemployed and living off boxed mac and cheese. And through it all, he never sugarcoated anything, which was exactly why I knew coming here was a mistake. I showed up at his place with a six-pack, and the kind of relentless energy that made it all impossible to sit still. You look like shit, Darian said the second he opened the door. I scowled. Nice to see you too. I mean, you've got that guilty bastard look on your face. Jesus, what did you do? I shifted onto my seat, gripping my six-pack. I thought as a bribe. Can I come in or not? Darian arched his eyebrows. Yeah. He shut the door behind me. This is about Spencer, isn't it? I froze, which of course only made him grin. Thought so. Get inside, dumbass. I halved a breath and stepped into his apartment. It smelled like takeout and something citrusy. Maya's candles, probably. She, and Ellie and his girlfriend and boyfriend, weren't here tonight. Part of why I drove myself there. I collapsed onto the couch, tossing a beer at him as he sat across from me. So, Darian popped the tab open. Are we confession mode or I need to be bullied into make good choices mode? I exhaled sharply, running a hand through my hair. I shouldn't have told him about that kiss. He chuckled loudly. Heard that disaster in full detail. Also told you I freaked out after. Oh, big time. He rolled his eyes. Couldn't practically hear the gay panic across town. So I should mention I'm avoiding him ever since? Darian's face went flat. Yeah, now the story is less funny. I tensed at that. I wasn't trying to be an asshole. But you were one. Intent doesn't change impact, Joe. My stomach twisted, but I didn't argue. Because Darian knew Spencer too. Not just a casual meta party way, but in a Spencer helped me move last summer and they played pickup basketball together kind of way. Darian liked him. and Darian didn't like most people. You know, he's not the type to play games, right? Darian said, taking a sip of his beer. If he kissed you, it meant something. I gritted my teeth. I know. And if you kissed him back... I know, Darian. He sighed, shaking his head. Then why are you sitting here instead of talking to him? I dug my fingernails into my hair, unable to respond. You're sitting here acting like your whole life just imploded because you might be into Spencer, he said. He said. But the way I see it, your life is imploding because you're refusing to deal with it. I stared at the beer in my hand for some seconds before responding. I don't know how to want this, Darian. I don't even know what this is. Darian studied me for a second, then shrugged. So don't put a name on it. I frowned. What? Forget the label for 2 seconds. When you're with Spencer, are you happy? The answer formed in my throat before I could stop it. And it scared the hell out of me. Darian just nodded, like that was all he needed to hear. That's what I thought. I inhaled sharply. He couldn't be right. It's not that simple, I whispered. Darian snorted. It is, he said softer now, patting me on the shoulder. Look, I get it. It's scary when things don't fit into that little box you thought they would. But love isn't a box. It's about who makes you feel like home. My throat tightened, because that's what Spencer felt like this whole time. Darian leaned forward, elbows on his knees. So the real question is, are you gonna let fear make the decisions for you? Or are you actually gonna do something about it? Silence stretched between us. I didn't have an answer, but for the first time in weeks, I wanted some. Some hours later, I stood outside Spencer's gym, my heart pounding in my chest. I texted him 3 times, not a single response. I hesitated for a moment, but then I pushed through the door anyway. Spencer mid-set, his chest glistening with sweat. He saw me, froze for a beat, then looked away. My stomach twisted. Spence, I'm busy. His voice was flat, dismissive. I exhaled sharply, trying to keep my cool. I know. Can we talk? Spencer racked the weights, the sound sharp in the silence. Took you long enough to want to. The words hit harder than I expected, but I swallowed it. I messed up. Finally, he turned to face me, arms crossed over his chest. Yeah, you did. I nodded, my hands clenched at my sides. And I want to fix it. He studied me for a long moment, his gaze piercing. Then he sighed. Then prove it, he said and left. I don't know how to yet, but I would. About 2 weeks later, it took a few days, then a week. I didn't push, I just showed up at the gym. At the coffee shop Spencer liked, just enough for him to see I was trying. One time I even corrected someone when a gym buddy joked about Spencer being my gay best friend. And I said, actually, he's just my best friend, with no hesitation. That was the first time in a while that Spencer looked at me, and it felt like maybe he was trusting me again. So when I showed up on Spencer's doorstep, chest tight, hands clammy, he didn't make me beg. But he didn't make it easy either. His eyes narrowed when they met mine. He said, his voice colder than I remembered. Spencer, I started, but my throat felt dry. I swallowed hard. Listen, I don't have all the answers yet, okay? But I know that when I'm with you, it just feels right. I let out a shaky sigh. And I don't want to pretend anymore. Spencer didn't move. Didn't give me that smirk I'd come to expect. He just watched me, his eyes hard and unreadable. Why now? His voice was tight, almost too steady, but there was something raw underneath it. His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I took a breath, trying to find the right words, but nothing sounded right. Because I was scared, I admitted, voice quieter than I'd meant it to be. But I'm done running. Spencer's lip curved into a bitter smile. Yeah, I figured out that much, he said. his voice sharp. You were scared, so you ran? So you ran, and now? Now you think it's that easy? The edge of his tone stung more than I expected. I took a step closer, but the space between us still felt massive. I don't expect you to just take me back like nothing happened, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I just need you to know that I'm done lying to myself. I've been lying to myself for way too long. Spencer's jaw tightened, his gaze flickering to the side, like he was fighting something inside. You think I don't know what it feels like to be lied to? His voice crackled slightly, but he quickly masked it with more anger. I trusted you, Joe. You were supposed to be the one person I could count on. And you... He cut himself off, his eyes burning into me. I winced, but I didn't back down. I know I messed up, I said, my voice raw with regret. But I'm here now, okay? I'm trying so hard to fix this. He sighed. It's not that simple, Joe. I could feel my chest tighten, the weight of his words sinking in. I know it's not simple, I said, swallowing the lump in my throat. But I'm not asking for everything to be fixed right now. I need you to know that I'm here, and I'm not running anymore. Spencer let out a bitter laugh, his arms uncrossing as he turned slightly away. Yeah, well, it would have been nice if you didn't wait until I was halfway gone before you figured that out. The air between us crackled with tension. My heart ached with every word, but I refused to walk away this time. I'm sorry, Spencer, I whispered. I whispered the words, tasting bitter in my mouth. I should have done better, but I'm here now. For a long moment, Spencer didn't move. His face was unreadable, like he was weighing something. Finally, he exhaled sharply, shaking his head. You're an idiot, he muttered. My heart sank. Yeah, I said quietly. I know, but then something shifted. Spencer studied me for a long moment, his expression softening, just enough to make my chest feel lighter. He stepped closer, his hands finding its way to the front of my hoodie, tugging me towards him. Took you long enough, he muttered, a small weary smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Before I could say anything else, his fingers curled into my hoodie, pulling me inside. The door clicked shut behind us, and he was kissing me. He'd shot through me like a live wire. His hands tangled in my hoodie, and my body answered before my brain could catch up, grabbing, pulling him closer, desperate to close the space between us. This wasn't hesitation. This wasn't confusion. This was will, and that's where I finally stopped fighting it. Up until now, I was considering and tired of pretending. But before his lips touched mine, it was unrealistic. Just an idea. Now, it's true. Solid again. His mouth was intense. His mouth was incented against mine. Like he was making up for lost time. Like he was making sure I knew exactly how much he'd been waiting for this. And God, it felt every ounce of frustration, every unsaid word. I gasped against his lips, and then he took the opening, deepening the kiss until my knees nearly buckled. My hands found his waist, twisting the soft fabric of his hoodie, grounding myself in him. He was real, and he wanted so much more. And we needed to breathe. Spencer pulled back enough to keep our foreheads in touch, and I loved the warmth of his mouth against my skin. So, he murmured, voice rough, are you done running now? I let out a shaky laugh, because damn, he knew me too well. Yeah, I whispered. Yeah, I think I am. His fingers trailed down my spine, his touch steadying me in a way I hadn't realized I needed. Good. He leaned in, pressing one last lingering kiss to my lips, because I'm not letting you run again. I hugged him again, knowing for sure that he wouldn't, because now I'm meeting him halfway. Conclusion: Spencer is still Spencer. Sharp, infuriating, and the only person who ever made me feel like this. And me? I'm still figuring things out, but at least now I'm not running. For the longest time, I told myself I was just confused, or that I had options, like Darian, when in truth, I was just scared. I wasn't bi, I was gay, and I spent my whole life hiding it from everyone, especially myself. The months that followed were something perfect. Fairy tales. There were awkward firsts, old fears creeping in. And the few stubborn arguments. But there was also laughter. So much laughter. Lazy mornings tangled in sheets. Ridiculous inside jokes. Late night drives with music too loud and hands clasped between us. Somewhere along the way, I stopped waiting for the other show to drop. Stopped questioning whether I deserved this, whether we could make it work. Because this isn't the love story I expected. It was better, and it was all mine. The end. What was the one thing you used to be scared of admitting, but now you fully embrace? Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force. And stay wholesome.